Peptides are powerful and often misunderstood.
And we're here to change that one conversation at a time.
I'm Dr. Kylie Burton,
And I'm Jessica Bricky.
and this is Pep Talk. Peptides Unpacked, science made simple, results made real. We have a special guest with us on today. His name is Steve Smith, and I have been after Steve for months to come join this podcast. Why? Because he is ripped. And I know how many women have husbands who want to be ripped. Well, Steve's going to have our secret sauce today. So, Steve, walk us back because you've had a journey with peptides. Walk us through
I
the
have.
journey.
I have the peptide journey. It's when I say it's changed my life, that's an understatement, right? We're going to go back to my early years, and Kylie, you know a little bit about my history with what I've experienced since I was 11 years old, and that's a long time ago for what it feels like in my life. But I was actually diagnosed with this rare skin and muscle disease at 11 years old. So I'm a walking miracle. I'm the longest living individual that has been with this disease that's relapsed 4 different times throughout my whole life, right? And so at 11 years old, I was diagnosed. It's called dermatomyositis. So it's essentially a skin and muscle disease that my immune system, so it's autoimmune, right, that attacks and deteriorates my muscle fibers. So can you imagine at 11 years old being athletic, being like sports was my life, right? And being able to have that taken away because all of a sudden my insides were attacking my outsides, my immune system was attacking my muscles, and going from being able to be multi-sport athlete, playing soccer, doing all the sorts of things that I love, baseball and everything that I absolutely loved and enjoyed in life, to not even being able to lift up a half a gallon of milk. And so one of the things that really impacted my life as I continued to go through life and dealt with this for 4 years, 5 years, going into junior high, going into high school. It went into remission my sophomore year, right? And so I was able to make the soccer team, the high school team, all of the things, and so battled with this throughout my whole life, right? I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or if I should say this or not, but unfortunately, when you're a junior, there's certain requirements that the state and the government puts on you. And unfortunately, at the time, um, I was
Developed
uh,
enough?
not informed enough to be able to make an educated decision. So we tried to call the doctor to say, hey, there's a requirement for the school. I cannot get um, enrolled in school without certain types of vaccinations. And unfortunately, my doctor decided to take a vacation at that time. And this was before cell phones or any technology of the sort whatsoever on that. And so we called the doctor. Doctor was not able to get us information. And I got the MMR shot, which is a live virus. That actually triggered and relapsed the disease. So my sophomore year, right, turned into one of the most epic times of my life. The junior year turned into tragedy for me. And so it relapsed and it came back into my junior year. So it's I don't think people really understand what when I try to explain the disease, especially when you look at me and you look at my physique and they're like, dude, there's no way that your body eats its muscles. There's no way that like anything of the sort on that piece of it. And so we'll dive into that a little bit later, but that just kind of gives you the background of it. So like my whole life has been about around health. At 11 years old, I made health conscious decisions. I didn't drink pop. I avoided sugars. I ate healthy. So essentially, from 11 years old, I've always been in love with health and wellness and fitness. And that's probably what kept me alive today. And so we'll fast forward a little bit to about 4 years ago, and I got introduced to peptides. The reason why I got introduced to peptides was uh, for the last time that my body decided to fight back. It relapsed about 6 years ago. And so I was fighting it as
That
an
was
adult.
it 2020?
It was right before the world changed, right? So yeah,
Okay.
right around 2019, right, is when I started to feel better, feel like I could go to the gym, do those types of things. And so I decided to purchase like kettlebells, right? I didn't want to embarrass myself because I was always healthy and strong and doing all those particular things, right? I always felt strong, but I didn't want to embarrass myself at the gym. So I started doing kettlebells, started working out, started doing stuff, and I started to feel better. I got introduced to peptides, and that's when everything just started to really align. And the best things that I could really talk about with peptides, I was always nervous about medications, right? I think there's 3 different doctors that have my name in their books, and on their charts, it says, will not follow medical advice. Uh, so
You will not follow federal advice either because you work for the Hill Air Force Base, like if I remember correctly.
no, 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 no. I don't work for the base, but I will not follow federal guidelines either on that piece of it. I will
Yes.
educate myself. I will do everything I possibly can to make sure I make informed decisions for me and my family around health. And it's not that I'm, anti-vaccine or any of those particular things, or I'm not saying that in any capacity. I just know that my body and what it did for me at 18 years old completely changed my life. So I want to take my education, make informed decisions, and be able to do what's best for me and my family. And that's why I search, research, and do all those particular things for when it comes to health and wellness, vaccinations, all of those things. I always
I just
encourage people.
remember you were for work, you were being required to take the COVID, SOHOT.
Yeah. So my job to have them go back into office, they said that I had to be able to get the shot. Right. Oh, sorry. We can't say that.
We can. We're
I
We
on a
can on
podcast.
this. We can say
Oh,
anything
fine.
here.
okay, perfect. So at that point, I was like, no, I couldn't. And I reached out to you. I was like, hey, what do I need to do to avoid this? I need to get a medical exemption. It petrified me to be able to go through. Like, I would much rather have been on my deathbed with, the 19 versus anything that I have to do with getting my disease to relapse and whatnot, right? And so you helped me assist that and make the educated, informed decision and be able to help me with that. So
Sign the
can I
paper,
just-
so he exempted from it.
yeah.
When you were first diagnosed at 11, first of all, I don't know how old you are, but it sounds like you had a pretty progressive doctor to even find something so rare.
Oh, it's a miracle in itself. Like, that's a whole different podcast. You'll have to have me come back for part 2, but I could go on for the miracles of how I'm alive and diagnosed today. Is, like I said, it's a whole different podcast. If we want to
Because
talk
you're
about
here to do
peptides,
work. That's
yeah.
why. You're here to share your message.
Yeah, it's really a miracle all in itself. From the the first doctor that we went to, they diagnosed me as ringworm. I'd have to deal with it because with the dermatomyositis, right, there's rashes that happen that goes all over it. It builds up on your skin. It looks horrific, right? It's kind of like scaling and it looks pretty bad. And so they're like, oh, it's ringworm, don't worry about it, just put this cream on. It's a hay fever gene. Put this lotion on every single commercial during the Super Bowl to be able to make sure that you're lathered up really well. I don't know if you've ever counted how many commercials there are during the Super Bowl, but I could have easily just slipped through any tube in any capacity whatsoever. I was so lotioned up that it was a horrific time. I refuse to watch the Super Bowl to this day just because it puts the lotion on and it watches the Super Bowl again. It's horrible for me. So
and granted, like you're 17 years old.
So at that time I was
You were
11.
11.
I was
11.
11 being
Okay.
able to do that. Right. And we had the doctors had no clue. Like, there was a doctor that we went to and was like, look, I have no idea. It was the first doctor out of 4 that actually admitted that they had no clue.
Yep.
They sent me down to
Guy.
they sent me down to a dermatologist down in Salt Lake City, and they said, let's try to figure out the rash. Let's try to figure out those things and see what it is. The dermatologist was like, look, I don't know either, but I actually just attended a lecture of this young, bright Yale University graduate. Like, he understands rare diseases. Like, he just got a job at the University of Utah. He's like, I would love for you to be able to introduce you, connect you. And that's when I went over to him, and he's was wonderful in every aspect. He ended up diagnosing me. The only way you can diagnose the disease is through muscle biopsy. So I had to get it set up for a muscle biopsy. He put me on the medication immediately, which is all sorts of fun on that piece of it. Completely annihilated my whole immune system, right? Methylprednisolone, prednisone, Plaquenil, methotrexate, a whole
That's what they do
plethora.
with autoimmune.
Yeah, they completely annihilate the immune system. And then the crazy thing about that is prednisone, wonderful drug, fantastic, makes you gain weight, water weight, retention, all of those wonderful things, right? I put on so much weight in 2 weeks that I started to get sick. I felt sick and I stayed home. And I fell asleep for like 16 hours. And I woke up and I had this awful pain in my side. I told my mom, she's like, just stay home the next day. So I'm like, okay, I get to miss school again. Stayed asleep for another 18 hours. I woke up, told my mom, I'm like, Mom, I can't even stand up. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, this is horrible. She calls my grandma, bless her heart, God rest her soul. She's like, well, there's a flu going around that it feels just like pregnancy pains and labor pains. And so I'm like, okay. So another day goes by. I can't stand up. We get into this doctor. We call him up and he's like, get down here right now. Get down here immediately. He comes down. It's like 4:00 in the morning. We meet him at the University of Utah and he's like, Steve, there's something wrong. I'm like, yeah, clearly I can't stand up. I can't move. I can't do anything. Like, I'm like, this is what life is going to be about. Just like, this is horrible. And he's like, I think your appendix, I think there's something wrong with your appendix. So he's like, okay, we got to get you into surgery. Within an hour, I'm on the surgery table and they're removing my appendix. Well, at that moment, in the surgery room, the appendix ruptures. Spreads all of this wonderful stuff that the intestine covers throughout my body. The surgeon tells the doctor and says, look, I don't know how you diagnosed this as an appendix. I don't know how you thought of this, but based on his current conditions and the poison that's running throughout his body, his autoimmune disease, and all of the medication he's on, if you would have been delayed by 15, 20, 30 minutes on this diagnosis, he wouldn't make it. He wouldn't have made it.
Whoa.
So I was in the hospital for 10 days. They were pumping the poison out of my body. They had tubes in my noses. There was all sorts of things. So the craziest part about it is in recovery from this piece of it, and this is why I probably have such a health conscious, is the nurse. I was just waking up out of the anesthesia. And the nurse says, you know what? This kid's smile reminds me of a kid that I had a couple weeks ago. In here, looks just like him, but this kid's fatter. This is what I'm waking up to. And I hear my mom starts crying because of the amount of medication that I was on, the prednisone, the puffiness in the face, right? All of those things. And she's like, it's the same one. And she's like, no, there's no way. This kid was skinnier. And I'm like, no, it's me. And so that's when I just made the determination right there that it's like, look, if I've got everything weighed against me, if I've got medication weighed against me that I can't control, I'm going to take control of what I can control.
At 11.
At 11. So I made a decision never to touch pop again. I have not had carbonated water. I have not had a Pepsi. I don't know what this phase is with dirty Dr. Peppers. I had to Google how to make a dirty
Remember,
Dr.
he's
Pepper.
in Utah, so
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm in New York. I've never heard of it.
all these things.
So there's two things in Utah that you can guarantee and know about. There's churches on every corner and there's some type of soda shop on every single corner. And it's the craziest thing in the world, but I've never touched it. Haven't had it. And I still think to this day, that's one of the reasons why I'm healthy, and I'm 46 years old. So do the math on that piece of it, but to never touch pop or do anything from 11 years old, always be worrying about, what I'm eating, making sure that it's a healthy source of protein, carbs, everything of the source, controlling what you can, because when you're on prednisone, like you just get heavy, you just get weighted. Like it's just one of those things that your body retains the water. And so people look at you and like, oh, look at the fat kid, right? Look at the fat kid, or look at this chunky kid. Oh, like, hey, why don't you just try exercising? And it's like, golly, gee willikers, why didn't I think of that? right? And so, but when you can't lift up a half a gallon of water or half a gallon of milk or do any of those things, you can't really
You can't
exercise.
move your body that way.
And
Wow.
so
I
that
feel
so
like
that kind of gives some context. Yeah.
I feel like when you're quote overweight in any way, shape, or form, the judgment
Oh, yeah.
is
Judgment and
pathetic.
you're dismissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the thing is with being overweight, right? You never know what people are going through. You never know what they're battling
Exactly.
against.
You're living
And
proof. You're
yeah,
11 years old on hordes of prednisone.
yeah, yeah. And it built me up throughout my whole life. Like I'm fast, I'm athletic, and it's genuinely amazing to be able to be a part of that and be humbled, right? I think I got this disease for a reason. What that reason is, I don't know yet, but I still think to this day that it's for a reason and for a purpose. And what I love about it is it helped me build grit, determination, drive. I am probably the most stubborn individual you'll ever meet, where I focus on my goals, I achieve my goals, and I am driven to accomplish those goals in every manner what I possibly can, right?
What a beautiful man. I have a son who is 24 now in the Coast Guard. And he got sick at 11 months old, and it took years to get a diagnosis. And we nearly lost him during that time. And it turns out that it was Lyme disease and multiple co-factors that were involved after a camping trip. But at the time, 20, 20 whatever years ago, people weren't testing the same way.
Yeah.
And his trajectory throughout his entire life was very similar. We had a lot of very abnormal things, and he's lucky to be here. And he naturally, like you, was not if we were back then, and yes, this happened. Yes, I know I'm in the functional space, but there would be times when we went through the McDonald's drive-through, and if I went through the McDonald's drive-through with that one, he was mad at, 7 years old or 8 years old, when it would be a treat for most kids. And that's what mom had time for. I was, whatever, momming because my husband's job took him away from the house. And he would order the grilled chicken wrap with apple slices and a bottle of water, always,
Yeah.
because he knew all that other stuff just made him feel lousy. Fast forward to now, similarly to you, I've always said his journey was to help others. Like there was never a moment of why my son or why, and even for him, why me? His journey has been to help others, and he has that same grit and determination and absolutely incredible heart like you. And you guys are special people walking this planet here to share your story. And you've got work to do, which I'm so glad you're here with us sharing all of this. So I'm sorry for the experience on
Yeah.
one hand, but on the other hand, you wouldn't be you, and there wouldn't be as many people as you're able to help without having walked this journey.
Yeah, and I love that aspect and I love that perspective because there isn't somebody out there that I can't relate to, especially in the peptide space, especially in the health and wellness space. Like I love going to the gym. I love helping people. I love looking at people that are walking in and maybe be a little bit heavier set, and I smile at them and I nod to them and I look at them and I give them a fist bump, and I just make sure I do everything I possibly can to be able to help them feel that value add. Or if they're doing something wrong or something that I know that could possibly hurt them, I'll kindly walk up and be like, hey, can I offer some assistance here? Can I offer some advice? Like, not, whether you take it or you don't, right? If you don't want it, I'll kindly walk away. Right. But I just developed those relationships with these individuals over time to be able to help, to be able to share the wealth of knowledge that I have, just because I know what it feels like to be judged. I know what it feels like to be hurt. And if you're there at the gym trying your very best, you're better than, 85% of the people that slept in that morning. Right. And so that's where it's like every kind word that can be shared, every smile that can be offered, like we're all in this together to get better, to get healthier. And if I can impact one person's life through the knowledge that I've studied over the last 36 years of health and wellness, then in my opinion, it's worth it. Right. And that's my goal. That's my help. And that's why I love the actual, like the peptide world. That's why
Well,
4 years ago introduced to it.
I'm
Right.
curious, before we get into that though, Steve, I
Yeah.
want to know, how did you go from a half a gallon of water not being able to pick it up to weightlifting heavy like you do?
Yeah. So when my body when my body is functioning properly, I am built like a brick poop house. And it's actually very unique and it's very comical to me because I was supposed to be, when they did those growth trajectories and all that stuff through school and all that things, right? I was destined to be 6'2". Well, if you get put on all of those medications, guess what those medication side effects all do when you're 11 years old? They stunt your growth, right? So I didn't grow at all. It's kind of crazy when you take the pictures through elementary, you see me in the very back row where they always put the tall kids. And then as I progressed through school, I just continued to go further and further to the front, right? Whereas other people continued to go to the back. I just stayed the same height. So I've been this tall since I was 11 years old. So I'm 5'6". But I always tell people,
I'm pretty sure you're my height.
Yeah, I've got 6'2" muscles in a 5'6" body. And so it really makes it beneficial when you're doing legs or you're doing, if you look at my calves, they're basically the size of most people's thighs, right? And so when you've got a 6'2" muscle composition packed into a 5'6" body, when the body's healthy and well, it looks really, really good. As long as I'm staying, below 15% body fat and doing the things that I need to be able to not have it bulking season. So,
it's funny you say that because Andrew has a friend who will come over and lift with him on occasion. And Cameron is like 6'6". And then there's Andrew who's like 5'10". And Cameron makes fun of his scrawny arms because he barely has to move the bar or has to, it's funny how you say that, but yeah, it's a difference for height. Okay, so going back, we've got this journey of weightlifting, and then the peptides, of course, fall into that journey as well.
Yeah, so weightlifting. So I always study the science of weightlifting, right? There's a lot of people that go to the gym, they lift heavy, they put things up. What's the good old adage? You put things up and you put things down, right? You lift heavy, and I look at it as that's silly to me, right? I want to lift. This goes back to the proper form. This goes back to my mindset because as I was developing this grit as a child, I had to be fundamentally sound. So I would practice the fundamentals. So when the body caught up to and was healthy, my fundamentals were already surpassed everyone else because I was dedicated to the process. And that's the same thing that I do with weightlifting, right? I study the science behind it. I make sure that I'm doing natural movements. I'm not doing unhinged movements or anything of the sort. And so that's where the bodybuilding composition comes into me. I don't lift heavy on certain aspects. I don't lift heavy on, it's not an ego lift to me. I lift properly and I lift fundamentally sound to be able to protect myself and give my body the best chance of recovery, the best chance of building. And I'm able to be able to stay healthier, right? To be able to prevent injury because I don't let my ego drive the results. I let the science push me and help me to be able to be stronger, more physically fit, and do it the right way.
Love that. Okay, so you're physically fit, you're ripped, you're, lifting heavy, heavy, heavy. Where do peptides fit in?
So the best thing about my skin and muscle disease, right, is I know when I'm hurting and I know when things aren't right and I can feel the difference between this piece of it. Where peptides come into it, if you think about when you're working out or you think about when you're hurting or you're just did a marathon or something that's just taxing on your body releases the lactic acid, right? And the best way to be able to describe my disease is when your body is full of lactic acid and it's hurting and every single muscle, movement, twitch, hiccup, burp, anything of the sort just hurts and it's painful. That's the best way to explain my disease. Lactic acid, just very painful. Where peptides come in for me is specifically BPC 157. I can't speak highly enough about BPC 157. Like it is life changing for my gut health, for my overall health, for my recovery. Like I'm the old guy at the gym now. There once used to be a time that I was the young guy at the gym. I'm now the old guy at the gym, right? And I'm setting the pace and setting the example. And I had a young guy tell me, he's like, I don't know how you're in here for 3 hours. I don't know how you're able to do these things for 3 hours. And when you're lifting right and you're doing things right, and you're making sure that your body has everything that it optimally needs, it'll tell you and it'll help you be able to do those things. So BPC 157 after a hard workout, I take it at night, and it helps my body recover, helps me grow, and helps me be able to get up for the next day. So where I discovered peptides, right, was I don't want to put anything foreign in my body that's not meant to be there. So I started doing research about, you know, branch chain of amino acids, supplementation, all of those things. And that's when I got introduced to peptides, because it's just a short chain of amino acids that tells the body to do something specific.
And
BPC
it knows what to
150.
do with it, right? Because
And
we make them
correct.
naturally. So it already knows what to
Yeah.
do. We just may not have enough for
Yeah.
whatever
And so,
reason.
and the best compliment that I get is I get accused of being on steroids all the time. That's the best compliment. That's when I
I
know the
bet.
peptides are working. Right. I love it. I think it's the best compliment in the world. And it's like, well, nope, I'm on peptides. I don't hide it. I don't, because in my opinion, using the science and using what your body naturally produces, but yet helping it guide, is like using the premium gas to drive the Ferrari. You're not going to put ethanol 85 in there. You're going to put the premium stuff in, right? And that's what peptides are to me. And so that's the first ones that I ever tried, BPC 157. And I went from hurting to like, oh my gosh, my body is healed. Like I felt like a soccer player when they heard the whistle in the World Cup. All of a sudden they just hear the whistle and they're miraculously just healed, right? And that's exactly what I felt like. I felt like, I'm like, oh my gosh. So then I started to feel comfortable not only just doing the kettlebells, but I'm like, I could go back to the gym. And that's when I went back to the gym and was like, okay. And I've been back to the gym for 3 years now and have just been in heaven with the peptides, and understanding that, you know, feeding your body the right fuel, you know, whether it comes to food, you know, hydration, and now peptides, it's been life-changing for me.
They're a favorite. BPC is on my favorites list for sure. And you're healing your gut, which is so important for
Yeah.
autoimmune in general. So if the gut junctures are tightened up and you don't have that ability for things to be permeating through what it's
Yeah.
not supposed to, and then it doesn't want to go, it doesn't have things it's chasing after to attack anymore. So that BPC for leaky gut is massive for autoimmune. So have you added other things then onto your stack then since? And by the way, you are the perfect example of why peptides are so popular. So yes, there's a lot of us that are talking about it in the last couple of years. They've become very popular. However, where it really started getting loud and proud is the bro science, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term. That's who was the ones that pushed this forward into the space that it's in for the most part, because you guys were out there doing the research. How can I do better in the gym, get better results, feel better? And that's who was pushing that forward. Not all of it is necessarily done safely. And thankfully, we have better means to go after that now. But it is you and your community that have put us in a position where we're able to understand this is the future of wellness.
And I couldn't have said it any better. I'll take a step back and take a look at when you're talking about the bro science, this is the conversations that happened back when Arnold was lifting and turning around and saying, hey, Jay Cutler, you want to get bigger? Eat 76 eggs a day.
Mm.
Right? That's the science back then, where it was like, oh, let's do raw eggs. And Cutler starts eating his eggs and was protein. Like, that's that science. Now we can fast forward where if you can't get eggs like I can naturally, right? Like I'll go out and for the record, just so if the government's listening, I have 7 chickens. That is it. Um, but I get fresh eggs every single day, right? So that's the science, because I don't think there's anything better, in my opinion, than fresh eggs, right? It's just everything that you need to be able to support life. But that's that bro science that you're talking about. That's the science where back in the day it was like, hey, eat 75 pounds of hamburger. And it's like, oh, okay, all right. So all these things, now it's more intelligent, right? You talk about BPC 157. First of all, nobody has time to eat 76 eggs a day. Nobody has time to be able, unless you're getting sponsored or doing any of those things. But if you want your gut health, you want to feel better about yourself, inject the BPC 157 from a trusted source. Make sure you're getting it from, in my opinion, the right places. There's all sorts of different places to get it out there. I want to make sure that I'm getting it from a place that I trust and know. And I know what I'm getting. I'm getting the right dosage. I'm getting the right dilution. I'm getting the right information. And that's where I know I'm protected.
Mhm.
I don't want to just inject baking soda because I got it for cheaper. It's $27 for a vial and I'm getting baking soda. I don't know what I'm getting, right? And so that's where the trusted source comes into me. And I love that.
Well said.
I love that idea of making sure that you share. And I have been an advocate for 4 years, right? Kylie, one of the conversations that we had when you helped me a long time ago, right, was I was like, one of the first things that I'm like, hey, have you heard about these peptides? And it was so new that it was kind of like I genuinely felt like I was one of the first people talking about it because I think I needed it the most. And so that's where I dove into it. And every single person since then, I'm like, hey, have you heard about this? Have you heard about this? Have you heard about this? And
And
it
Steve,
literally life changing.
pinpoint how much money you were spending on them back then.
Oh, due to the government regulations and restrictions, I will not admit how much I was spending on them, but it was astronomical. I could have bought a very, very, very nice car in the 2 years that I've spent on peptides. And I think the thing that I'll say about this, I don't know if I'd be here today in my life without the peptides. And so the money to me was worth it. I'm gracious. I've been blessed enough to be able to financially figure out a way to be able to have that. But it was a challenge. It was a risk. It was a sacrifice, right? My family didn't go on trips. We didn't do any of these things because I needed to get healthier for it. And I'm grateful that there's sources now out there that make it more affordable. But I mean, we're talking $5, $6, $7,000 at a
Yeah.
at a run when it came to some of these peptides.
Right.
And it was unbelievable the cost, but I couldn't put a cost on my health back then.
Priceless.
Yeah. And so it's worth every penny. But if I looked back and saw how much, I would probably be sick to my stomach, but then I would take an injection of BPC 157 and that would probably go away very quickly.
Gone. Yeah. So what other peptides do you do now?
So I'm very cautious about the peptides that I use on a regular basis. So I'll kind of run through the ones that I've used and ones that I have non-negotiables towards. The BPC 157 is a non-negotiable for me,
Yeah.
right? I'm on a maintenance. I'm on a maintenance cycle of that now. So I probably take the BPC 157 probably every 72 hours on that. So that's pretty good regimen for me. TP 500. If I have an injury, last year, I like to play softball, competitive softball. And in the championship game, I pulled my hamstring. And so that kind of wrecked my softball, but thank goodness it was the last game of the season. But I ordered a TP 500 and I took it for 2 weeks and I turned a hamstring injury into, I was running at 2.5 weeks. And those two combinations, I love those two combinations because I look at BPC 157 as like the construction workers, and I look at TP 500 as like the supervisors. So
It's the director, like it's telling
correct,
it where to
yes,
go. So you
yeah.
put
So
that on board and it's going to take that BPC right to where it needs to go.
exactly, and so
Yeah.
that's where it's like BPC 157 injected in the body's kind of like, yay, go heal everything, and then the TP 500 is like, yay, go heal everything, but let's focus here and get this injury done, recovered, and then you can go do the other things on that piece of it. And like I said, I ran a cycle of TP 500 and I was back to running on the treadmill at 2.5 weeks. The
That's a
copper
perfect
peptide.
example of Wolverine and why that combination was nicknamed that, because it is fast and it is
Yep.
powerful and it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. I've done the copper peptide. The copper peptide is awesome. It's
Mhm.
phenomenal.
And if
Is
The
those
it a
of you that can't
non-negotiable?
see, is it a non-negotiable?
The copper peptide is not for me.
Okay.
So that one's that's one of those ones which, Kylie, we'll talk more about the copper peptide as far as like now that I can get it for a more reasonable cost, I probably will introduce that into my non-negotiable. But where I was getting it before, it was like one of those things that it's like,
Do I
this is
really?
good. Do I
Yeah.
need this to survive? No. Do I want it to thrive and look younger and healthier and have all the wonderful blessings of it? Then yeah, it's sure. But it's like,
Does that help the beard grow?
I was just
ah,
going to say, if those of you that can't see Steve, he is sitting here in front of us with the most gorgeous, long, silver flecked beard. And it is, I don't even know, what is it, 12 inches long, 15
oh
inches long?
gosh,
It's long.
it's
It's,
about as
Long.
big
I,
as, let me
it's,
measure up against the biceps and see how.
I wish everybody could see this because it's tremendously long. So that'll help. But beyond that, that's going to help lay down layers of collagen,
Yeah,
which helps with recover and all of
correct.
the things that you have going on. So for
Yeah.
you, that's really nice.
Yeah, now that I have a source that I can get it at a reasonable price, absolutely. I will mix that in. I will throw that in there and I will absolutely run that into my non-negotiable stack to be able to help, right? Because collagen is so helpful. It's so, there's so many benefits to it, but it's like one of those things where it's like the cost to me, I was worth the sacrifice. Now that I can get it, yeah, let's rock and roll and let's add that to the non-negotiable list. Ones that I've done as well too is semarelin, right, for the
Mhm.
muscle growth. Those pieces of it. The one thing that I've actually want to try, and I've been researching heavily, is MOTS-C.
Okay.
Yes.
I
I
just
will.
I think I just put that into my belly about what time did we start this?
Uh,
Yeah, 40 minutes ago. I just got
yeah,
little shot of Motzi in myself.
I want MOTS-C to help me get to the next level because I'm very unique when it comes to my health. The only thing that I don't do correctly is sleep. I hate sleeping. I think it's the biggest waste of time. And
My gosh.
if I didn't have to sleep, I would never sleep again because I feel like it takes away from all of the things that I want to learn and
Yep.
study and grow. And so from 4:12 in the morning, I wake up. I don't even need my alarm. I go till about 11:30 at night. And the only reason why I go down at 11:30 at night is because I still need about 3 hours of REM sleep. And I am blessed to be able to hit those 3 hours, even though I'm only asleep for about 4.5, 5 hours. It's the most incredible phenomenon. I'm gifted. I should be tested. There's no amount of REM sleep that I should get. There's no way I should even hit that much REM sleep, but I do, and I recover, and I get up at 4 o'clock every single morning without an alarm. It's the most incredible thing, and I'm blessed for that piece of it. But I want MOTS-C to be able to help me understand like the mitochondrial signaling, right? The metabolic adaptation that I need to just help me get that premium fuel source while I'm working out.
Mhm.
Because that's what you get when you're sleeping, right? Your body's rebuilding, you're doing everything, things, all of those things. So it's a way for me to be able to get the MOTS-C and not affect my sleep. And don't listen to me for the sleep patterns, but
I
like
was just going to say this is Steve Smith's advice of Steve Smith and not something we would recommend.
100%. I promise you, as rare as
Hey,
my
some of us,
disease
like when
is,
we have little kids coming into our beds at night, we're grateful for
yeah,
4 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I'm telling you, as rare as my disease is, being able to function on 4.5 hours of sleep is probably even rarer on that piece. That's the worst thing that I possibly do. But that's MOTS-C is my next one that I want to be able to get. That's the one that I feel that it will benefit me exponentially because of what I need to be able to make up for my shortcomings because I refuse to sleep. Right.
That's so funny how you're like so driven, so motivated. You're like, that is a waste of time.
Oh,
I don't think
it,
I've ever heard anybody describe it that way.
and I, like I said, I I would be 100% healthy as can be if I got 8 hours of sleep. Like, I know it. Like, I just can't do it out of all of the
Maybe,
things in my
maybe you
life
don't
that,
need to.
and I don't, because I get enough REM sleep. It's the craziest thing. I should have a sleep study done on me because I get enough REM sleep that you got your 8 hours of sleep, 9 hours of sleep, Jessica. Like, you probably get less REM sleep than I do. It's the
You're,
craziest thing.
you're probably right. And my husband would absolutely love hearing this because he's always like, it's a flex for him to say, I do
Yeah.
just fine with like 5 or 6 hours of sleep. And the princess over here needs like 9 hours of
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's kind of like you, Steve. He's like NYPD officer, security guard now. He's
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, highly recommend getting 8 hours of sleep. Do not listen to me on that. Everything else, listen to me on. I will absolutely speak to it. But sleep, I'm horrible. In fact, when I coach people or help people or talk to people, I'm like, make sure you're getting your sleep, because I know how I'm just rare when it comes to that. It's the craziest thing ever. So the MOTS-C is the one that I want to run next. Some of the things that are out there, which is interesting. I've heard a lot of people being very successful on like retatrutide,
Oh,
right?
not me
And
though. You won't hear that from
and
me.
and I had a friend that tried retatrutide, and it was horrible for them.
Same.
It was absolutely horrible. And so I started researching and talking to them about their diet, their diets aligned, their dieting. Like, I think retatrutide helps certain people that
Correct.
aren't as disciplined or aren't as dialed in, and that's probably beneficial. I don't think it would be beneficial to me because I don't get the cravings. And if I get cravings, right, like the things that I eat are like these things right here that are cashews, that are just quick, those types of healthy treats to be able to make sure that, like Brazil nuts, like I'm surrounded by quick, easy things for me to be able to just snack on and stay healthy with, whereas other people will eat donuts and and pizza and all that. And so I don't think it's beneficial for me, right?
Yeah, we're looking at the GLP category, and we have just a straight GLP-1,
Yeah.
and then we have the tirzepatide, which is GLP, GIP, and then we have
Yeah.
the Retta, which is the GLP, GIP plus glucagon. I would say that most people should fall into those last two categories, including the Retta. But when it comes to the retatrutide, I'm one of them. It tapped into the liver storage so much that I was actually revved up on it. It was too much of a pull.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep well. I didn't feel well on it at all. On paper, it's a beautiful stack. It's a beautiful combination of things, but it isn't for everybody. And so I hope that when people are out there and they're listening to this, when it comes to GLPs, because I just did a reel on Instagram, who do I think that GLPs are for? Pretty much everybody, depending on the dose. I really don't think there's almost any American that wouldn't do well. We're not in a healthy way. But Retta is not for everybody. So don't
Well,
fall into the what everybody, the social pressure of retatrutide. Yes, it has a really lot of great benefits, but not for everyone.
and the thing, Jessica, I love that, right? Peptides are not, they're peptides are instructions. They're not magic, right? They're not, it's not going to replace grit. There's not a peptide for determination. There's not a peptide for, you know, discipline,
discipline.
right? There's not those things. Your body speaks the peptide language because it already has the stuff. As you get older, once you hit my age, right, that stuff starts to slowly dwindle, right? And so that's what the peptides are doing, is it giving me the functionality that I missed out on
Mhm.
when I was sick, as younger, right? And so, like, the longevity, right, it just gives me that capability to be able to put fuel into my body that my body already speaks. It doesn't have to decipher what to do with it. It just goes where it needs to go. It helps where it needs to help, and it helps me understand what my body needs. And so if something works for some people, it may or may not work for you. It may or may not work for everyone, right? But what it does is your body will take that and it'll help you. And if you feel better with it, then you know it's for you. If you don't, then that's okay, because there's other options that you can use. Like MOTS-C to me will probably give me the same exact benefit that you got from retatrutide or something along those lines. That's where it's so amazing to have the assortment of peptides to help you dial it in to be able to give your body the optimal success that's needed to be healthy, to be fit, and to be happy.
Love that.
Yeah.
And that's what peptides do for me. Like, it is the most amazing thing. And people think, oh, you're on steroids or you're cheating or you're doing this. Cool. Do you feel that way when you take magnesium to sleep? Do you feel that way when you take zinc to overcome your cold a little bit quicker? Do you feel that way when you take vitamin D? And when you put it that way, people are like, no, that's no, I feel fine taking vitamin D. Oh, cool. This really gives me the same capabilities, right? Branch chain of amino acids to be able to help be able to do those things. Your body needs amino acids. And unfortunately, the food that we live or eat nowadays, like, you can't even, like, you could probably inject the amino acids into the food, and for some reason the food would probably spit it out and say, no, it's not letting you in there, right? And so that's what I love about it is there's research available for every single peptide, right? I think one of the things that really intrigued me, I think it was tesamorelin, right? Tesamorelin was developed back in, I want to say it was in the 80s or 90s for AIDS patients, right? Where that's where that first study came out to be able to help and say, okay, this is something that can help and be able to influence and help these individuals that are struggling with this horrific disease, right? And so they've been around. The research has been around. There's all sorts of research out there. Make educated decisions for yourself. There's plenty of people, experts like your guys' selves, that you can reach out, listen to these podcasts, understand the science behind it. But if you want living proof of what peptides do for you, go watch the movie The Ricky Bell Story. It's on Netflix. That movie saved my life. Ricky Bell played back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He went to Auburn with Marcus Allen back in the day. That was a Sunday documentary. That Sunday documentary, we were watching that as a family. I'm going to get teary-eyed for this. I've seen my dad cry 4 times in his life. 4 times. One of those times was in that documentary because he knew who this person was. And he knew that at the end of this documentary, he passed away. They kicked me out of the room, and I heard my dad say to my mom, "This is what Steve has." That's when we knew that we had to get into a doctor immediately to be able to get and find out what it was, because the result was the same thing of him. Now, it was made in 1989. So it came out after, or sorry, it came out 2 years before I was diagnosed. But because that documentary, so it's a really bad show on Netflix. But if you want to see what I'm talking about, what my disease is like and what I've been able to overcome by being able to dial in, make healthy decisions and choices, and now with peptides introduced to my lifestyle, changed my life, that gives you enough proof, that gives you enough research and understanding to be able to see how far I've swung on the pendulum. Watching that show, seeing that show, and then being able to bench my max at 460 pounds, that tells you how amazing it can be when your body gets the right fuel to take care of itself.
We should
Good
just
stuff.
drop the mic and call it good. We're
That's
cool.
that. That's a wrap right there.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
All right, Steve, just recap here with your peptides: BPC 157, TB 500 for us. That comes in the combination. It's a stack together. GHKCU. Quick question. Do you remember taking that and having it burn?
I was
That
lucky
one was
enough
a
that
little
not.
spicy.
So it is a little spicy, but you can do a little bit, let it sit out to room temperature a little bit. I felt like that was the benefit. So one of the things with my disease, last thing I have a very, very high pain tolerance.
I'm
And
sure.
so it's like, I can't tell you how many times that I probably should have gone to a doctor or something along those lines where there's injuries and I'm like, I'll feel better in the morning. So I'm lucky enough that I don't
I'll
really
inject my
feel that
BPC
pain.
157 and I'll walk away in 2 months,
Exactly. Yeah.
2 weeks,
But I
2 days.
I have heard the copper one burns a little bit, and I've done some research on like how to help people with that, and so there's are some tricks. Go a little bit slower, but yeah, that one tickles a little bit. It kind of just helps you understand that it is a science, and it helps you appreciate what you're injecting into your body. Is how I look at it.
I love it. And then tesamorelin, semarelin for GH production.
Yeah. Oh, one of the things. Sorry, I think this one's kind of my favorite one, but I have really good skin. So the copper peptide, once again, like I've been very blessed. I tan very easily.
Oh,
And I, and
wonder
I'm
what
and
we're going to talk about.
I'm gonna mess up.
Melanotan.
I'm gonna mess up this. Yeah, melanotan. Thank you for saying it for me. Uh, so I cheat a little bit on that one. If I'm gonna be out working in the sun all day long, like I'll like inject a little bit of that into me as well, and I'll like turn. It's unbelievable how dark I get. It's almost like that one does feel like cheating because I feel like I've just been put into an air fryer and I come out as a toasty brown when it comes to tanning. That one I have used. I love that one. And if anybody wants to be able to understand or avoid the tanning beds or any of those horrific things, you can put like self tanner on now. Like I can only imagine the chemicals that go into that stuff. Like that one's a very fun one for me, and it's got really cool side effects as well too, which no one should
I
be
will
mad
have
tell
about.
an
you,
episode on it.
we just did it. We just recorded an episode and I just led our team through the training because we just released that one.
Did you?
So I will say it for you. If you don't want to, I will say, so those that are listening that haven't listened to our melanotan episode where we talk about that, it was developed to help people with pigmentation in their skin and UV protection. It is activated. You have to be in the sun to really get it to activate. But the side effects of it are not only the skin protection, the pigment increase that helps you protect yourself against the sun, it also will help you with low libido, increase your desire and arousal. And so men that may be suffering with erectile dysfunction in any way, they will have a little benefit there. And there is the side effect for this one. There are some, listen to the episode because we have some other side effects, but the side effect can be a spontaneous erection that happens with this one. So they can be kind of a fun thing to talk about, but it is a pretty amazing peptide. Not as many human studies on that one, so I want people to be really informed. But you're right, that one might feel a little bit like I'm golden, but it isn't from the sun.
Yeah,
It is from
it's
the
that.
sun. It's just
It is,
it
but
was
it isn't.
boosted. The sun was
Right.
boosted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like using an air fryer. That's how I look at it. It's like it's
He went to Mexico for the week. Only it took
Yeah.
2 hours in his front yard.
instead of sitting in the oven, I just put it in the air fryer and I just come in. It's fantastic and great. So
Yes.
yeah.
And last but not least, we got MOTS-c, which Jess and I are big fans of, especially for the mitochondrial. You could throw in some NAD plus with that one.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to
Get
talk.
impact.
I need to talk with you on that one because if you've got the Mott C, I need to try and I need to
You've got
add
all
that
the
The
one.
things,
Sorry.
MOTS-c, and
Steve.
we have a nasal spray of the NAD plus. So if you get tired of injections, there are other options.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on for hours, and I know that we're limited on time and whatnot. And the last thing that I'll say when it comes to peptides is I think there's a reason why they're coming out now, and I think there's a reason why um, certain industries or big industries are very nervous for them
They should be.
because they want people to be, in my opinion, Steve's opinion, they want people to be sick. They want people to be like I could have been at 11 years old and been on lifetime medications. There was a medication that I was diagnosed with that it was $100 a pill. And my
A
mom broke
pill?
down a pill, $100 a pill. And I refused to take it because I was not going to bankrupt my parents. And they want you to be reliant on those things because you look at the food, you look at those things, you look at everything that's out there, the water, all of the things that set us up for failure. And in my opinion, I believe that there's opposition in all things. And the opposition for all of those horrific things, in my opinion, are peptides to be able to help balance and swing the pendulum to be able to help others, help people become healthy, strong, and fit, and not be lifelong piggy banks for certain individuals throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you can't put a dollar amount on your health. And I absolutely love that we work in a world and we have availability. You guys have the availability to provide it at an affordable rate compared to what it used to be 4 years ago, compared to what it is 3 years ago. And to be able to have this where you can provide for your family without taking it away and still getting the health benefits you need, every single person should be able to try it, and it'll be life-changing for anybody that gives it a chance. And I think one of the things that we understand, and if we take away anything from the conversation with me, right? Peptides are tools. They're it's fundamental to help, but it doesn't replace, and I know this is going to be funny for me saying this, doesn't replace sleep. It doesn't replace training. It doesn't replace nutrition. It doesn't replace stress management. And it doesn't replace recovery. Or sorry, it does replace recovery. What peptides will do is it helps you dial all of those in so you can handle your day-to-day life. You can be able to sleep, you can be able to train, and you can get the nutrition that you need to that helps you with the stress management. That's the best thing about what peptides can do, is there's a peptide for, I almost say there's a peptide for everything, right? But there's a peptide for everybody. And that's what I love, is no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what you're up against, I can promise you there's a peptide that's going to help you, and it's going to help you get through the next day and the next day and the next day. And then you string 21 days in a row. Now you've got a habit. And now you've got a habit built on success. You've got a habit that changes your life. And now we're no longer products for those big businesses. We're products for our family, for our loved ones, and for our communities.
We like to say peptides help us live better, longer.
And couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah. So, okay, Steve, we are so very appreciative that you took an hour of your time. You've got, let's see, it's 5 o'clock now. So you got 6 more hours till bedtime, 6.5 more hours till bedtime. Jess, where can they find you?
Oh, goodness. Well, if you are looking for more education around wellness and peptides, and sometimes you just want to come for a laugh, come find me on Instagram. I am jessb.talkshealth. And if you don't want, you're not on your socials, you're not on Instagram, you can catch me on my website. That is b2bwithjess.com.
And Steve, I know before we hit record, you said you were mentioning, like, maybe I should start an Instagram and talk about my beards and my peptides. So if you end up pulling the trigger, let me know and I'll put it in the show notes, and people can go join you and maximize their beards and their peptides.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure. And I hope I'm able to impact one person out there, right? Because then I'll know that I'm doing what I need to. And I'm hoping that that one person is you. I'm hoping that one person listens to my story. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to be able to share. Because like I said, I truly believe in health and wellness, and I want everybody to be able to live their best life. And the only way that we can do that is share through our tests and our trials that we've gone through and help others. And so I'm hoping that people hear my voice, hear my story, and can understand that it's like, if this works for this guy that's got all of these health issues, then they can work for me. And so I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much. Sorry, it took forever to be able to get me on here, but I appreciate the time.
It was worth the wait. I knew it would be. All right, you can find me at my website where you can get started at drkylieburton.com. This is Pep Talk, Peptides Unpacked. See you next time.